Want to make SOPs and document some processes?
No! God, no!
Of course not, but with one piece of software, we can make it at least a little less painful.
What?
That's right, with the power of automation software, we can make arguably the worst task nearly automatic. Now, full disclosure, this will only work on documenting processes on the computer. So for manual processes, you're in the wrong place. But for the rest of us, let's jump in on how to make flawless process documentation and SOPs. I'm AiAtom, and on this channel, we show you the best AI and automation tools on the net. And in this video, I'm going to show you the best ways to document processes and a handy tool to automate almost all of it. Now let's jump into Scribe, but first click on the link in the description to open Scribe in a new tab so you can follow along or save it for later. So this is Scribe, and Scribe is a one-stop shop for making step-by-step guides nearly instantaneously. It has a lot of different solutions like the web extension that we'll get into, but basically what Scribe does is it lets you instantaneously record your screen and take screenshots as you go through a process. It then puts together these processes in an easy to use and easy to edit format nearly instantaneously. So you save tons of time screenshotting different steps and adding that together on your own.
Wow!
Now first, let's check out pricing. Now, I regularly use the basic plan to make SOPs for web-based processes, and this comes with the extension, which I'll get into in just a moment. If you have a larger team or you also want to use it with different documents or other applications, it also comes with a Pro Team subscription at $12 per seat per month. But this can be well worth it because Scribe will save you hours documenting processes, and you can use it to record processes across all of your native applications. Now that we've covered the pricing, let's get into what Scribe can actually do. To start this, let's take a look at the Scribe gallery. Now, Scribe has a ton of different examples of SOPs that have already been built out, and this is a great reference to see how these are put together. And when you click on one of these, you can see exactly what the Scribe output is. It screen records and screenshots each of the steps that you go through when you've enabled Scribe. So it gives you a step-by-step, including a text description, a screenshot, along with where you're clicking when you are running through your process. Now, this gives you a really great visual and text description of your process that you can put together and edit and export as a PDF or keep in Scribe for your team. But recording a process isn't all that goes into making a good and long-lasting SOP. So let me show you the other things that you should include so you can document like a pro. Now, the first thing that you should always include is the owner. This is who actually put together the SOP. This lets you go back and understand who documented the process when you need to make changes or adjustments. The second thing you need is the inputs. So what kind of software are you using? What do you actually need in terms of information? And the third thing you need is the executor. So who is actually carrying out this process? Who is responsible for this process? Once you have that, the first thing that you need to determine is the trigger.
You just triggered my trap card!
So what happens that triggers this process? Does a customer come in and request something, or is a purchase made? What is the actual thing that triggers somebody to execute this process? This is a must-have for creating a process documentation. Otherwise, you don't know when it should actually start. After that, we get to where Scribe comes in, and that is recording the actual process. But wrapping up, you need to have an output. So what does this process result in? Does it result in an email getting sent out to a client or an invoice getting paid? What does this actually end with? It should be definitive, and it should mark the end of the process. Now let's get started with recording a process in Scribe. And you can do that by going to Get Scribe Free so you can install the extension. Or you can find it on the Chrome Web Store. And once it's installed, you'll find it in the bar for your extensions. When you click on it, you'll be able to log in to Scribe. So let's look at an example with Scribe. So I have an SOP called Calculate Net Profits, and I am the owner. Now the executor is going to be my Excel monkey minions. So the guys who work on Excel for me and do my different processes and calculations. In the end, it's just going to be me though. Now the inputs for this are going to be the monthly sales data for my business, and the output is going to be the net profit number. So this gives me a good idea of how I want to structure it, and now I just need to put together the process. So let's look at sales. So these are my sales, and I run a fruit and vegetable store apparently. So given my monthly numbers with quantity, cost, and price, I want to end up with my monthly net profit. So let's get started with Scribe. So now that I have my inputs and outputs measured, and I know that the trigger is when I receive my monthly sales data, I can go and document the process for calculating the monthly net profit. So I'm going to go up and find my extension for Scribe, and here I can hit Start Capture. Now once this is started and it's recording, I can go and run through the process for calculating my net profit. So first I am going to enter in a net profit category, then I'm going to calculate calculate it, which is price minus cost, and that multiplied by quantity. And I am going to propagate that for the full row. And here I have the net profit for each of my products. Now, once I have that, I can go ahead and calculate the total net profit, and that is going to equal the sum of this entire row. So I have it here at 2126. And you can see on the side here that it has been calculating all of these pieces of process. So now I can hit complete capture, and it is putting together a Scribe document for me. And here we have the Scribe document in edit mode. So this is for calculating the total net profit in Google Sheets. And you can see that it has the direct link to the sheet along with each of the steps with screenshots showing exactly what I typed in along with where I'm clicking. So this is super helpful, saves a bunch of time on screenshots, and allows you to get really specific. Not only that, but I can click plus and add different things to these areas. So what I'm going to do here is add in things like a header, and this is going to be the process like that, or I can add in things like the owners. So one thing I'm going to add in here, instead of a tip, I am going to write in owner as AiAtom, executor as my Excel monkeys, and trigger, which is receiving monthly sales data. So now that I have this and I have kind of the initial things, now I begin the process. And the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the actual link to the document, and I'm just going to go through and clean up a lot of this data. You can see that it goes piece by piece when I'm putting together the equation. So we're just going to simplify things like that so you can put together the equation with just this step rather than step by steps. We're just going to really clean up the data here. And here I have the finished and edited version. So I consolidated a lot of steps and I made a lot of the instructions more general. So rather than having a click here, I just showed where it is actually selected. And I added things like add sum and highlight all the numbers in the net profit column rather than specifying E2 to E8 or anything like that. Because if I have other products, I want this PDF to still be applicable. So I want to add instructions that are more overall applicable and not specific to this exact sheet. So just adding things like that make it more generally applicable. I also went through, and where I thought it was necessary, I added things like type the equation and a tip that explains what this equation is. So this is actually showing, hey, this is price minus cost times quantity, which is the net profit. So somebody can read this and understand what it's doing rather than just typing in the equation. I want this to give them more context so they're able to make decisions on their own and get the results I want rather than just the results this specifies. So basically just simplified a lot of it, consolidated steps, and added in what is necessary to make this last longer. So now that I've finished that, I can click done editing, and I'm going to be able to export this or share it out wherever I need to. And here is the final version exported into a PDF format. So you can see I have some of the watermarks here using the free version, but this is what it looks like with all of the step-by-steps, screenshots, and everything bringing you through the process. So Scribe is an excellent tool for automating and speeding up your SOP production and making really good SOPs. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more on automation tools and businesses.